Hello, welcome to another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace, reporting live here at the 2012 Detroit Jazz Festival here in downtown Detroit. As part of one of the festivities of this year's festival, the Mack Avenue's Superband will be assembling tonight on the stage, and it consists of Mack Avenue artists ranging from Burton to Kevin Eubanks to some of the new and up-and-coming artists like Tia Fuller, Sean Jones, and Aaron Deal. Mack Avenue Records has really put the city of Detroit back on the map because, one, they're producing and releasing artists of substance and quality, as well as not just sticking to the jazz vein. They also produce artists and groups of smooth jazz, R&B, as well as blues. Tonight you're going to witness Gary Burton, Tia Fuller, Kevin Eubanks, Rodney Whitaker, Carl Allen, Aaron Deal, as well as Sean Jones and Evan Perry from the Hot Club of Detroit assemble on this stage and get down. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the sounds of the Mack Avenue's All-Star Band live at this year's 2012 Detroit Jazz Festival here in downtown Detroit. What is it that you're going to be playing with the Mack Avenue All-Stars?
I'm going to be performing actually one of Tia Fuller's compositions, Breakthrough. I'm looking forward to that. It's got a lot of energy, you know. And I'm doing a piece that I actually wrote for the Pittsburgh Jazz Festival. It's called Liberty Avenue Stroll. It's a nice shuffle thing. And I'm playing something for Kevin Eubanks. And that's a honky tonk. And that's the closer. It's a nice little soulful thing. So it's going to be fun.
This is a very different project for Mack Avenue Records. In fact, this is really the first time that a label in a very long time put together all the artists to perform.
Yes, it is. It's really an extraordinary experience. I know I'm having a good time because there are a lot of artists on the label that I've never personally met before, and so this is a great opportunity for all of us to get together and just play and have a great time at this festival.
Rodney, you are the music director for this particular program this evening, and tell me about how you decided to put the musical interest of all of these artists, because you're dealing with different personalities, to make this mesh out.
Well, you know, it wasn't that big of a challenge, but it was a lot of fun because the process was that I listened to everyone's. I got copies of 3 or 4 of everyone's CDs and like kind of checked them out, and that was a great research. I mean, all research should be like that. I got to listen to 2 of Tia Fuller's records and Sean 4 of his and Hot Club of Detroit, and I tried to figure out like what would feature each one of these artists and let them shine, but also play material that would be adaptable, that Carl would sound good on, that Aaron would sound. So as a rhythm section, also, you know, what is it that we play well that would also feature them so that we sound like a band? And you know, you heard us, we only had 2 days of rehearsal and it already sounds like a band. So that was kind of my formula.
And you know, you're dealing with, like I said, the young. You're dealing with Tia, and you're dealing with Sean and Alfredo, and then you're also dealing with Gary Burton. And, and you also, I mean,
yeah.
Tell me about Mack Avenue Records right now, moving forward musically. You are a native Detroiter, and this city has come from a great lineage of not only just musicians, but also labels as well.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, I think it's a part. I mean, this is the industrial city of the world. You know, really, and I think that people here are about making something happen. I mean, that's kind of the idea and the vision. I mean, you think about Berry Gordy, and you think about, you know, OK Records and a couple of the other ones that were housed here early. People were just about, okay, how do we do? Let's just do this. This is our mentality. We make something out of nothing, and that's kind of the vibe.
Mack Avenue Records that is keeping the tradition of great jazz as well as great music out there?
I think Mack Avenue Records has such a varied roster, and I think that's very important for a label such as them. I mean, you have Alfredo Rodriguez, who's 16 years old, playing Afro-Cuban jazz. You have people like Robin Eubanks. You have Allen Rodney Whitaker, play more straight-ahead young guys like myself, and then also Cecile Savant, who are just kind of coming up and playing this music. So I think that, again, kind of harking back on that theme of generations, it's very important to have a multi-generational roster with all kinds of styles and something for everybody. I think that's wonderful, and they're very supportive of that.
You're part of a very, very rich in tradition as far as the music record label by the name of Mack Avenue Records. And tonight, this jam band is really kind of paying homage to the great record labels as well as moving forward with the musical tradition.
Yes, very much so. And we're playing a pretty wide range of music. A lot of it is from different guys who are participating. Sean's got a great tune. You know, Aaron Deal's got a great arrangement. Tia's got a tune that's kicking everybody's tail. So it's a lot of fun.
What is it about this label that really now is putting the emphasis on the music versus sales?
Well, I don't think you really can put much emphasis on sales these days because the business has changed so much. But it's great that a label is really concerned about the music because ultimately, you know, we know that it's a business, but at the end of the day, what is it that you're selling? And it's the music that people respond to.
This is the first time that a jazz label, has done this since ECM or maybe GRP, where they put together all of their artists to perform together.
Yeah, it's a pretty rare thing. I mean, in a lot of instances, the players aren't even that compatible if you look at everybody that's on a label. So it isn't always even a good idea to try to do something like this. But this seemed like a natural fit, actually, for the players that they've rounded up for the All-Star Band. So I'm glad to be joining in.
Gary, you being the veteran jazz musician and iconic vibraphonist and playing with someone like a Sean Jones and a Tia Fuller and just interacting with them, what's it like?
Well, it's fun. I've heard Sean quite a bit on record before, and I've known of the other players some or heard about them and all that. So frankly, I'm sort of just in the getting acquainted stage at this point, and that's always a fun part of meeting some new musicians, kind of see how they play and how your styles mesh and so on. And so far, it's pretty easy to play together.
One of the great things about Mack Avenue is that they have a great cadre of artists, and you're performing with the Mack Avenue Superband. Tell me what it's like working with all these artists.
Oh, I'm just completely humbled, you know what I mean? These are all musicians that I've looked up to for so many years, and it was always great being label mates with them, but now I get the opportunity to share some music with them. It's like one of the coolest things for me. It's very cool.
What is it about this music in this particular set and group that differentiates, say, the great labels like ECM and GPR, maybe even Blue Note?
I don't know for other labels. I can't really speak for them, but Mack Avenue has always been like a family-based label. It just feels like the way Gretchen and Tom and Denny have worked so hard to organize this label. Everyone on the label feels like they're one big family together, and that comes out in the music, So that's kind of the way I've always had that feeling since I signed with Mack back in 2005. It's just you join the family, they bring you in, and then music is almost secondary. It's great.
Tonight you are performing with the Mack Avenue Superband, and this is really the first time that a major label in a long time has put together all their artists and put them on the bandstand the first time.
No, I think that's right. I think the only time I can remember that was Bruce Lundvall did that over at Blue Note a while back. We all played together, and one of the things I remember from there is the same things that I'm feeling here, is that I got to meet all these people that were on the label that you never really get to see. You see their pictures on the, on the roster and everything, and then you get to meet people and play with them. And I just wish we would get together more often because it's a lot of fun. So I'm really enjoying. And this is just just the first time we're doing it. So I think it's going to be a blast.
What is it about this label that is really bringing a whole nother unique voice to music?
I think the musicians are kind of, even though, because we don't have like a spokesperson, but I think a lot of musicians feel like they want to be with a label that that the musicians feel good about. And then when word of mouth comes from here and comes from there and says, oh no, this guy's cool and Denny's cool and label's cool and all that. And you just, after a while, you start seeing everybody in the same place and you go, oh, this must be the spot, So it's just a good feeling, when everybody kind of has that same type of feeling and you're all here together, So I think musicians, even though we don't get to say it, we all, musicians want to find a place where they can feel like they're at home at, and, you look around and your friends are there too and the whole thing. So it's just a good feeling of unity.
Kevin, you have come from some great labels, GRP as well as Blue Note, and now coming into this as really a veteran of the music. Do you think that the direction of this is what a lot of the other labels should pattern themselves on?
Well, it's I think obviously you want to have musicians that want to be there and just kind of realize that musicians want to feel at home someplace. And if you give them that, if you make musicians feel at home, if you make them feel respected and we want to present what you do, if you give them that, then you'll go a long way in helping all the music come out and all the magic happen. So I think definitely record labels should kind of not overlook. It seems very subtle, but having musicians feel at home is a huge, huge step.
You are the president of Mack Avenue Records, and this label really is carrying on the lineage of not only great Detroit and Michigan artists as well as record labels.
Well, that sounds pretty heavy, Brian. I don't, as we're in the day-to-day of making music and marketing music, I hope that history is good to us and kind of treats us that way. And right now, we're not really looking at it like that. We're essentially trying to do what's right for the artists, what's right for the company, and hopefully, history will say, yeah, back then they did some really good things.
You have not just Mack Avenue Records, but you have subsidiaries also that cater to other music like smooth jazz. You also have R&B and you have blues. In fact, one of your label mates, God rest his soul, Johnnie Bassett, just passed away. He was on your blues label.
Right. Johnny was the second artist that we had signed to an imprint called Sly Dog Records, and the idea for that imprint actually, came about 8 years ago, and Johnny was the perfect artist for that label. And the idea behind that label was a kind of a bluesy singer-songwriter, folk Americana type of a music. But the Johnny, being a local Detroit hero, he was just a perfect fit. It was a perfect fit for the label, and he's somebody that we already miss sorely. his passing was rather sudden. Took us all a little bit by surprise. Of course, his record had just come out 6 weeks earlier, so that provided kind of an extra level of sadness.
And I've also interviewed a lot of your artists on the label, and one of the things that is very integral of making this a very successful label and a thriving label is that there are elements of the music that you are recording, especially the Hot Club of Detroit.
Right, yeah, the Hot Club brings an element of jazz that we don't have anywhere else on the label. We don't have a Django style or Hot Club style group on the label, and they are such an incredible young group of musicians. And I was just talking about them yesterday with somebody else, and it was refreshing to us to see a Hot Club group that was willing to take what Django had done and stretch it and put modern and contemporary and really kind of a real youth spin on it. And they aren't necessarily content with only doing exactly what Django did and those arrangements, but taking it a step further. That being said, they honor Django, they honor his style, quite well. So they're a great part of our label. Obviously, they're Detroit based, so that adds kind of a local element here.
That'll do it again for another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace, reporting live here at this year's 2012 Detroit Jazz Festival here in downtown Detroit, Michigan. I'd like to personally thank the members of the Mack Avenue Superband for their time and hospitality, as well as this year's festival organizers for putting together this beautiful, beautiful festival, as well as allowing me the opportunity to break bread with some of these members. As always, please visit my website, www.thepacereport.com, for my weekly column as well as my past segments. Until next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Until next time, peace.